DS20 is a purist DAC amp, and by saying purist, it means that this thing here is pretty much very simple. Simple because it doesn't even have gain control. There's no high or low gain, and you can only switch something like UAC 1 and UAC 2, which means that you can use it for PS5, and it doesn't also have any kind of filters, and you only have one control, which is the option button here, which will only allow you to change the UAC 1 to UAC 2 and even change the volume. The volume, by the way, is some sort of a rotary spring-loaded kind of mechanism at which it will jump from one level to another level, which is step volume, perhaps 2 step or even 3 step between each volume level. And just have a look here. One thing that you can't miss from this DS20 is that you see the light there. It is like you can't miss it. Okay, so the indication here shows that you are literally seeing 4 DAC here, which is Quad Cirrus Logic CS43131, and these are the volume indicator from 10% to 100%, and this is the indication for UAC 1 and UAC 2, and of course charging indication here. Other than that, it's very simple, and the weight itself is at around, I place it on my scale, we are talking about almost 300 gram of weight attached to the phone via MagSafe connection here. So it is intended to be very easily attached to any type of phone that have MagSafe connection, especially the later model iPhone, or in the case of me here, this Xiaomi 15 with a MagSafe case. So it is intended to be very portable. Yes, you can actually carry this around and place it into the pocket like what I did here. No problem at all. And connecting it is also pretty much a very simple affair. Just attach it to any phone or even MacBook. No problem, doesn't require any kind of driver. So no issue at all with connectivity. With 6000 mAh of battery inside here, this thing will take a while to charge, to fully charge. And you can see the indication here, blue. It means that, you know, the power level. And when it comes to battery usage, for portable usage, especially when attached to my phone like this, it is quite impressive actually. I was able to get a runtime of, let's say, almost 13 hours on a single charge, running 4.4 mm balance with the volume set at around 50 to 60. And on top of it, I have to highlight this, that after a prolonged period of time of usage, driving something like this magnetic planar of mine, which is Sivga Nightingale, the temperature does get kind of a bit hot. It is in fact just under 40 C after, let's say, almost 40 minutes of usage. So just bear in mind that with that kind of heat, which is 40 C, you're gonna feel that, okay? But the good thing is that because it has its own battery, so what it means is that it will not actually drain the battery of the host. So this is one advantage of this kind of DAC amp over dongles, because it does not do any kind of power draw in order to power up and, you know, do all those amplification of the volume itself. So it is definitely one of the reasons why you want to use it. And on top of it, depending on which phone you are using, in this case, my phone, if I put this on standby, then it will run on a trickle charge, meaning that whenever I'm not using it, place it on standby like now, it will trickle charge. So meaning that over time, it will also drain the battery from the phone, but at the same time, you're going to get to charge this while being portable. Rated at 500 milliwatt of power per channel at 32 ohm from the 4.4 mm balance, and also 6 VRMS of outright voltage, and an impressive 3 VRMS from the 3.5 mm single-ended. So it does appear that on paper, this DS20 seems to be powerful. But how does that translate into actual life application, practical application? I'm just going to say that this thing is not exactly as powerful as the specification indicated. Because when I connect my 300 ohm Sennheiser HD 600, I needed to crank the volume all the way to 70 to 75, even close to 80 out of 100 in order to get proper listening headroom, the kind of volume which I would consider as usable, which is normal. And even when I connect it to my Sivga Nightingale, my favorite magnetic planar here, which is an IEM by the way, I need to crank the volume above 50, closer to 60 out of 100 in order to get proper listening headroom. So that alone indicate that at least when it comes to power delivery itself, you do need to crank the volume higher than most other dongle or DAC amp in this form factor. So which means that this thing is not that powerful after all. But for as long as you achieve the proper listening headroom, then I would say that that 500 milliwatt of power does translate into something which is powerful, because I do hear that once I achieve proper listening level on my HD600, then it does sound like a desktop DAC amp. When it comes to quad configuration DAC amp, this DS20 is not unique, because we have seen quite a few of portable DAC amp, even dongles, which comes equipped with 4 DAC, specifically Cirrus Logic CS43131. So let's just talk straight into the comparison, and let's just compare it first with something which is I'm very familiar with, iBasso DC07 Pro. Now, this DS20 and that DC07 Pro literally share the same architecture of DAC, which is for Cirrus Logic CS43131. And comparatively, DC07 Pro is almost as powerful on paper when it comes to specification, because it delivers at around 430 milliwatt of power at 32 ohm from the 4.4 mm balance. But at least DC07 Pro offers high and low gain, and you also have controls over filters which will influence the sound. It is a lot smaller, it does not have any kind of battery, it is a lot more portable. But when it comes to sound and performance, comparatively, I would say that this DS20 does appear to be as neutral, as transparent, as highly resolving as DC07 Pro. Perhaps the minor difference that I am feeling is that this does appear to be wider with soundstage, a bit more airy when it comes to the decay itself. And when it comes to the sound frequency, like I say, being neutral and transparent, it does not exhibit any kind of coloration, just like DC07 Pro. We are talking about reference kind of transparency here. So you can expect the lower frequency, the bass, the mid-range, the treble, does not indicate any kind of influencing, boosting or anything like that. Truthful sound reproduction. So that's pretty much the differences between DC07 Pro and this DS20. And of course, we have another one, which is iBasso again, DX180, which is also a quad CS43131. It is like DC07 Pro on steroid, but with a lot more power, which is like, you know, way beyond 500 milliwatt of power. And of course, I'm just gonna simply say, when it comes to, let's say, sound and performance, DX180 is slightly superior, especially when you consider the depth of imaging, the depth of resolution, the depth of the dynamic itself. It does appear that DX180 would be a bit denser and richer sounding. And let's just compare it with another quad, CS43131, which is Shuangling UA6. Okay, I haven't placed any kind of review on it yet, but I have spent quite a bit of time with Shuangling UA6. And Shuangling UA6 is in fact, again, pretty much very similar to this, because Shuangling UA6 is also tuned to be neutral, transparent and uncolored. And yet again, I am finding a bit of difficulty trying to differentiate between UA6 and this DS20. But perhaps the most evident differences between UA6 and DS20 is that this one, again, offers wider and more airy soundstage as opposed to that UA6. And also not forgetting that despite being smaller, UA6 offers a lot more feature, filters, high and low gain, SPDIF, you name it, everything that you can imagine that you can control, just like DC07 Pro. So many features as opposed to this purist approach of this DS20. And of course, last but not least, comparison with another pretty much very similarly designed DAC and amp, which is Audirect Team 1 MagSafe version, which I reviewed not too long ago. They don't look alike, nowhere near being looking alike, because internally the DAC is different, configuration is different, but at least the only thing that they share similarly is that both of them have MagSafe option and both of them are battery powered. And when it comes to the sound and performance itself, I would say that this thing does offer a bit more of natural analog timbre as opposed to that a bit more technical approach of that MagSafe version Team 1. It's a bit more clinical when it comes to resolution, imaging, macro and micro detail, which means that it is highly suitable if you are the type who prefer technicalities over musicality. All in all, everything considered, it takes special kind of commitment to use this DS20 because you have to consider one thing. If you want this to be a portable device attached to your phone, like what I did earlier, you are committed to carry around in excess of 300 grams of weight, extra weight to your phone. But at least you get very good, amazing sound and performance for any kind of IEM or headphone on the go. And on top of it, you also have to consider that it is a purist device. I'm going to repeat myself, a purist device, which means that you are limited with options. You don't have high and low gain, you don't have filters and stuff like that. It is just simple and straightforward. But does it deliver when it comes to sound quality? Absolutely yes. But is it for everyone? Then my answer is no. You have to ask yourself, would you want to carry around the kind of weight that this thing offers or the kind of bulkiness that it adds to your phone? Because you can get the same kind of performance from something like much smaller iBus or DC07 Pro or even Xiangmi US6. Other than that, I would just simply say this is definitely something I would recommend if you want purist solution. Thank you so very much for watching the video until the end. Without skipping, I hope. Now click like and subscribe and also follow me on Instagram under the name of AndyAV. And also, if you'd like to support me directly, you can join the membership below for behind the scene, especially for AAV Insider and above, which will allow you to see what I am doing behind the scene.